Video game hype. It can become a developer's best friend or their worst enemy. Underhyped games can fly under the radar, never getting the attention they deserve. Games that generate the correct amount of hype in regards to their own prowess generally favour quite well in terms of sales, and games that are overhyped to shit have the potential to disappoint legions of adoring fanboys that gave in to the months and sometimes years of pre-release hysteria and their own preconceived hype-fueled expectations. With so much hype surrounding video game releases in today's hyped as fuck world, it's not very often that I get to come into a game with absolutely zero expectations. Grand Kingdom is a tactical turn-based JRPG developed by Monochrome Corporation and released on the PlayStation 4 and PSVita consoles. Originally released in Japan by Spike Chunsoft in late 2015, the game was eventually brought to Western shores by NIS America. But more importantly than release information, Grand Kingdom is a game that I heard absolutely nothing about in my lead up to playing it, which is both a blessing and a curse, because while I was very pleasantly surprised with how good Grand Kingdom was, I really feel like this game will fly under the radar and not get the appreciation it so rightly deserves. The game takes place after the fall of what was known as the Uldain Empire. The power vacuum left behind has fostered 4 factions vying for supremacy, as well as various mercenary groups who are out to make a quick buck by doing the dodgiest of deeds for whoever has the deepest pockets. The whole premise and setup reeks of the style of medieval setting that I try and steer clear of. Dragons, mages, and warring factions, all of that uninspired and overdone shit that everyone but me seems to have this fond appreciation for. Normally this is where I would rip on the game's art design. However, despite retaining those medieval influences, Grand Kingdom mixes a healthy dose of anime into the aesthetic and manages to create a colourful, pleasant, and rather unique looking game that I've grown to love. A large amount of that uniqueness stems from the levels that the player must navigate during missions. The top-down view of the board game-esque maps are reminiscent of old-school tabletop strategy games like Risk or D&D. The player controls what is in effect a chess piece as they hop around the environment, battling enemies and searching for chests and supplies on their way to the mission objective. In order to reach that mission objective, you're gonna need to build yourself a squad of mercenaries. Building your elite squad is relatively simple. You head off to the medieval unemployment line and pluck out whichever budding murder machines tickle your fancy. There are paladins, witches, medics, gunners, shamans, and even crazy bitches riding dragons. The classes you choose to make up your squad will greatly impact the way you approach battles and online play, so make sure you spend a little bit of time with each class and nail down a squad makeup that suits your playstyle. Once you've finished assembling your squad of squalor, it's time to hit the battlefield. As previously stated, Grand Kingdom is a tactical turn-based game, meaning you will have to have your wits about you when taking on any like-leveled opponents. The battlefield is separated into 3 lanes, with each class being able to jump vertically between lanes and move horizontally along the lane they are on. At the start of a turn, each squad member is granted a set amount of movement points and action points. Using up all these points will result in the end of that squad member's turn. And battling is where I'm having the most fun. Planning out and executing strategies is really rewarding, and I also really dig the level of customization you have over each class's build in terms of moveset and level progression. The promise of mechanical combat depth is one of the game's strongest points, and outside of PC and 3DS games, I feel as though Grand Kingdom is one of the best tactical RPGs to date. Another testament to how strong the core gameplay elements are is the snorefest of a story. Bland characters and a lackluster and predictable plot managed to slightly shake but never derail the freight train of fun I experienced in my playthrough of the game. In fact, the closest thing to a game-breaking negative that I experienced came from my venture into the online portion of Grand Kingdom. In just a few short hours of online play, I had leveled my squad well past the recommended levels for each story mission, making my return to the single-player story somewhat akin to Godzilla's return to Tokyo, or to put it more eloquently, I fucking gutter-stomped the CPU. Speaking of online play, it's very rare these days that I dive into a game's multiplayer elements that cuts its teeth outside of the shooter or MOBA genres. I find myself regressing further and further into single-player experiences as I become older and more cynical of dickheads online. Grand Kingdom allows you to partake in online combat without ever having to actually interact with another human being. You and your squad of mercenaries sign a contract with one of the 4 nations, then declare war against a rival nation as both sides fight to either maintain control of or take over various countries and land masses. At the end of the war, which usually lasts around 24 hours of real time, a winner is crowned and powerful rewards are handed out to mercenary squads that pulled their own weight by completing quests and winning the most amount of battles. You also have the ability to create multiple squads and deploy them to fight for you in the wars while you step away from your console and partake in everyday, ordinary, boring as fuck life. For these additional squads, you can set their actions, positions, playstyles, and even abilities that they will carry out in your absence. However, I fucking sucked at this mode, and not one of my squads even managed a single victory when I dispatched them in this way. I really enjoyed my time with Grand Kingdom, an intelligent and unique game that houses an addictive and mechanically dense tactical combat experience. If you enjoy games like XCOM, Valkyria Chronicles, Disgaea, or the Final Fantasy Tactics series of games, then it's safe to say you'll fall in love with Grand Kingdom. For everyone else, then I implore you to give it a shot. Who knows, you might just end up pouring 80 plus hours into this fantastic title, then sitting back and hoping that we see more titles like this in the West, just like I did. Hey everyone, Matthew here from Ultra Super Mega. If you like what you saw, remember to hit subscribe on the YouTube channel and check us out on the web at allthews.ultrasupermega.com.au, and you can find us on Facebook as well. We've got a Twitter account, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next review.